Eclipse Games, the podcast where we bring you the latest in gaming news, indie reviews, and everything else under the sun. My name is Kendall, and I'm here with my co-host,
Tony, aka Snack Thought.
Snack Thought. And the way you said it, you knew it was a good one.
Yeah,
I seen the
yeah,
confidence.
yeah.
Okay,
That was
okay,
that felt good when I came up with it.
man. This is just like
I
a
know it's a
legion of.
good one when I start laughing as soon as I put that shit in.
As soon as you get it out there, bro, like it's just a legion of like hungry ass rappers that we fucking like assembled on the
Yeah,
intro to our shows.
yeah, yeah. So as
Nah,
soon
but
as I wrote that in the notes app, I was like, oh yeah, I'm good there.
absolutely. That note is a fucking menace to society. Every name in that motherfucker is a problem.
The nigga, it's the most ignorant version of Death Note ever.
Nah, but we are back, man. Back for another episode 29. So we getting close to that big 30, man. We've been rolling right along. I appreciate you guys for rocking with us. If you're still here, you know we've been kind of doing our special little episodes with tournaments and different games and whatnot, but we're getting back to the news recently. Like last episode, we kind of got to break down some Sony news and some Nintendo news. So it's only right that this week Microsoft would have the biggest fucking leak in
Man,
the history of video games. That shit's crazy. So of course we got to kind of give our thoughts on everything, you know, beat by beat. There's a lot of other conversations to be had around the leaks that happen with Microsoft because the implications for the future and the things that they have planned for the near future are very, very interesting. So, you know, I just kind of we're gonna go beat by beat by the with the stories. I have an article here pulled up, which is like 11 big highlights from the leaks from Kotaku and written by Claire Jackson, excuse me. But before we kind of get into that and like go beat by beat, I just want to get your overall thoughts, Tony, because I know, you know, as Microsoft's biggest fan, we got some thoughts here.
yeah, yeah. Nah, man, it was weird because the day it happened, I actually wasn't online for like the first 2 hours after it
Me too.
happened. Um, and then you hop on Twitter and you kind of get into the middle of the discussion, and I'm just sitting there like, what the fuck? Like, leaks? All right, well, somebody said a game was coming out in 2 months. Okay, big whoop, you know. And I pretty much ignored it for like the next hour. But when you got to that third hour and people are still talking about it, I'm like, yo, let me look this up real quick.
Yeah,
And then I looked it up, and I couldn't talk. So I'm
yeah,
like, oh, this is big.
it's
And
huge.
it's big from the standpoint because we've never seen a company's shit get leaked to this degree. I mean, this is console plans, game plans, stuff they was trying to do 3-4 years ago. Like this
Yeah,
this is their entire plan for everything
yeah. You can see
is
what they
out
hoped
there.
for. You can see what they hoped right now was going to be because this is all leaks from 2020, so it's a couple years old. Everything is not entirely accurate, but it's an amazing like window into what Microsoft was planning, what they thought they were going to be at, like what they hoping for the next few years, the next console generation. It's a little bit of everything in that motherfucker. It's crazy, like
That shit was physical proof of man plans and God laughs.
legitimately, like just throw your plans out the window and let the paperwork flutter into the streets. Watch everybody look at your new
Dog.
Xbox. You know, that's
And the
just crazy.
wild shit is like we talked about in the text, like this ain't shit that they can come out and go, oh no, we was just bullshit. You know, they're not like, no, this
Yeah,
shit had letterhead and official company colors attached to it. Like,
yeah.
these
You know,
these things were somewhat set in stone.
it's crazy because we got a statement from Phil Spencer, who is, you know, head of Microsoft, her head of Xbox, who was saying, you know, how unfortunate it is that these got leaked and that the plans are not all accurate. I know he made it like an official tweet or whatever, but I believe we also got like a leaked internal email, which is just the most ironic shit. Like to have
Right.
an internal email about this leak is crazy. But yeah, it said similar things like, yeah, we know everything is not accurate, but still sucks. So we'll see what actually holds up from this. But I'm not gonna lie, I like some of the plans. Like I really hope we get that new Xbox, you know, the Series X, which is kind of the big thing that leaked out of that. I think that's a good deal, honestly. Like if you take away the disk drive, you would think it might be cheaper. But so if you're not familiar, I'm going to try to have a picture of it up on the video. But basically, Xbox Series X is getting a refreshed version where it's a little bit smaller. It's round this time instead of square. It's digital only, so there's no disk drive. and it has 2 terabytes of memory. So that alone, the 2 terabytes is like, okay, I get why it's
You're
still
paying
four
for the
ninety nine.
memory.
Yeah, yeah. Like you would think it would drop down to that 399, like PlayStation, but they still have 1 terabyte if you get the digital only version. So it makes a little bit more sense. And I like the design. I think it looks pretty dope. Um, but I think there's a bigger conversation to be had about like mid console refreshes and how much we need that, because more of the document talked about how Microsoft looks at console generations themselves. You know, as we get into what they were planning for the next console, they start talking about, oh yeah, you can get like one or two actual systems out there between console generations, which is fairly accurate. But I feel like we get to the point where we might not need that. Like, do we necessarily need to always have like what is the next PS5 going to be if they don't have the option to get rid of the disk drive or whatever? Do we need a PS5 Pro? What's beefed up from the PS5 that would be worth another investment like that?
Yeah, man. I don't personally. I've always found like the mid generation refresh to kind of be ridiculous. Um, I mean, it's obviously a way to boost hardware numbers
Yeah,
and try to get people in who couldn't get in on the first wave. But when you look at the difference, or I guess the hypothetical difference between a PS5 and a PS5 Pro, it's going to run quieter.
right,
Okay.
right.
It's going to be a
You get
little
that.
smaller.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's when you might get some. I mean, by the time we hit 8K, it might be some bells and whistles in there. But I mean,
See, and that's
it,
the thing, because you're not going to do it like a graphical upgrade, because then you're shitting on everybody who bought the original.
right,
You're basically
right.
making them buy that. So you're not going to do something that's going to go, well, the graphics here are better.
Yeah,
It's like,
if it's not a
what are you doing?
PS6, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Like I don't know, it's a tricky thing, and they're always going to try to do this because it's proven to work. Every console generation has had even if you just slim the box down, some people will buy it just because
Yeah.
all this looks slimmer and is more portable or whatever the case may be. But
What's wild
yeah,
is, ironically enough, I think Nintendo is the only one who's done it right.
yeah,
I think because you look at
usually
the Switch and then you go Switch OLED, there's a clear difference in screen and
right,
the screen size, screen quality, the brightness, the way
right.
the colors pop. Like playing Metroid Dread on an OG Switch and then going to OLED, dog. I thought I put glasses on.
I've
Like
heard,
it's
man. I
a
haven't used it yet,
big fucking difference. And then
but
you look at like what they did with the DS and then going from DS to 3DS.
mm-hmm.
Like that type of stuff, that you're adding something to it. Something is actually changing the way you either see the game or the way you play a game.
Right. Like I think the most minimal jump they did was like the DSi, but that was back in the
Yeah,
day.
and
You know
that
what I
added
mean?
a camera in the middle of
Yeah.
it. So yeah,
Yeah. But even still, that was like a DS Lite. And there were games that work specifically with that hardware. Like if they're gonna make something minimal, they give you an incentive to want that or
right.
not want it. I didn't give a fuck about the DS Lite or the
Yeah, I
DS
skipped that
Nano.
one.
Yeah, but I'm not mad at it. And then you look at the OLED like you're talking about, $50 bump in price. It's not
Right.
a huge like increase or difference like that. So I'm not mad at the way Nintendo handles it. You're right. Um, I feel like Sony's been doing it the longest, if I'm not mistaken. Well, wasn't there a refresh to the Super Nintendo? Like the gray and purple one was like a refresh, right?
I I think there was a slight difference in the hardware.
Yeah, because I think there was,
Um,
there was the white one, and of course you got the Famicom that looks totally different. But
yeah,
just speaking
it looks
over here,
better. That is the superior
yeah,
hardware.
yeah. Even though I love that purple and gray console with the like sliding thing, with the little sliding piece on the top of it.
Yeah, but
Good
yeah, that
stuff.
family, the Japanese versions are always better looking to me.
Yeah, I can agree with that. But I have weird taste in consoles. Just I like the PS3. You know what I mean? The fat ass
The
fucking
OG grill.
yeah. I fucked with it. That looked like a weird premium piece of technology, bro. Like you give me a piece of tech that does something cool and looks like I can bludgeon a man to death with it, I'm gonna fuck with it. Like that's a
They had
huge,
some. They had something with that kind of smooth, like rounded shit with the PlayStation 3 in gray over the
yes,
top of
bro.
that was cool.
Yeah.
But the overall look at it, man, that thing looked like I should have fired some burgers up on that motherfucker.
It's because I love ugly PlayStations, bro. Every odd PlayStation is a little bit weird and off. It looks like somebody threw some shapes together, but
I mean, if we keep it in the buck, every PlayStation been ugly, minus the 5.
You think so, man? You okay? So the five, the only one you like? That's
The
interesting.
five is the only aesthetically. I mean, you can get a one a pass because
I love the
that
way the
was what it
PS1 look.
was.
Yeah, that's
The
iconic.
two, I mean, the two wasn't nothing but a black box
That's
for real.
Man, that's crazy. It was the sleekest fucking black box though, with the ridges on the front and shit. It was,
Oh, I no, you know what? I'll give you the PS4 Pro.
yeah, man,
That
look,
little slant down the front did look kind of cool,
that shit
clean.
was slick. That shit was slick.
Okay, so two
I I
PS4 Pro and the
liked
PS5.
in the base P. I like the original PS4 with that the two tone with the little like shiny side of it. You know what I mean? The OG PS4. I thought that shit looked pretty sweet. But I like minimalistic console
Yeah,
designs.
yeah.
So
Xbox ain't never hit.
you know, man, see, and that's
The
what I
360, no, not the 360. That's the closest
360
one
was
they got. That's the
and I
closest they got.
and based on the fact that you like the PS5, I see your design philosophy. You know what I mean? Like that's along those same lines. But I like the Xbox Series X. I like the Series S. I like these simple boxes with that
Dog, they look
splash
like
of like
Alexas.
that's hey,
Sorry,
it's a
it's
reason
already been
why
done.
it's a reason, you know what I mean? But I think they have an Xbox flair with that top part. That shit looks like the design version of the OG Xbox intro with the like orb of fucking green shit. You know what I mean? And like a
I ain't
bunch
thinking
of
about that. Yeah,
yeah. It looks like they built like on some artistic shit. Like they made a sculpture to embody that shit. Like and it's their console. Yeah. I kind
yeah,
of fuck with it.
they they can keep them designs, man.
Hey, I ain't mad, man. I ain't mad. But in any case, if you're not a fan, maybe you can check out this new one. If it comes out, the idea that it was coming out next year, some point, I believe it's like around this time next year, actually. But again, these plans are 3 years old. We have no idea. I think there was also a refresh to the Series S, but I'm not sure. Maybe it's just more memory or whatever the case. I can't remember. Um, they're also refreshing their controller, giving it, a black bottom half, like people call it a pair of pants. I don't know if that's gonna hold. Yeah, if you look at it, I'm
It
gonna have a
does.
picture.
It does look like a baby trying to pull their pants up and can't get them
Yep,
all the way up.
little onesie type of deal, or like
Yeah.
trying to get that thing on.
That's not an attractive controller at all.
I'm not a huge fan of the split color scheme myself. You can probably do some cool shit with it, but you know,
It's
to
all
each
about
their
where
own.
you split it.
Yeah, yeah. There are some perks to it. I think there's a little bit more haptic feedback to it. And I don't even know if the OG one had like necessarily haptic feedback. So from what I understand, they're kind of adding some more bells and whistles, which kind of brings it more in line to what the industry is doing. It's a lot of cool controller shit happening.
Yo, do you like that D pad? I don't like the
the
way that
like
D pad look.
the concave thing that they got going on. I'm
Yeah.
not a big fan. I'm not a huge fan.
Like I see what they're going for, kind of resting your thumb like right in the middle of
Yeah.
it, and maybe just
I,
doing that like little rock like that.
And you know
But
what? I've never tried it like that, and that's probably one of those "this is the idea behind it" type things.
like you
Because
can't play fighting games like that.
nah, hell no, I'm not. I mean, but I'm not nice enough to play them like anything, so I can't speak to
Uh,
to
you,
that shit.
you you need
But
hard button presses, man. That
yeah,
rocking shit will get you
and that's
fucked up.
why I've never been a fan of any D-pad that's like one button. When you can tell it's
Yeah,
one solid.
yeah,
Yeah,
nah,
yeah.
I don't fuck with that.
So I like to click my shit. I actually like the way PlayStation does it with the separate buttons. You know what I mean? Yeah, I
Yeah,
can fuck with
that
that.
space in the middle. Yeah,
Yeah, but it adds something to it. But speaking of Xbox and other consoles, I want to get to the second biggest piece of this to me. Beside from announcements and everything like that, it's the fact that Xbox is really, 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 really hoping that one day they can buy Nintendo. It's really interesting
man.
to hear that shit from within the walls of Xbox. But this is not the first time we've heard about this. Like the last time, the rumor is they were laughed out of the building, and that's how people put it. Because Nintendo is Nintendo, and we all know what that means. Like they're an entity in this shit, and to imagine them being bought up by someone who has their own brand identity is crazy. But this leaked email from 2020 says that Phil
Uh,
Spencer believes it could be a career move and good for both companies. So
okay, so he's half right. One, it would be a career move if he did it.
absolutely,
That would be
absolutely,
that would be huge,
yeah,
but it wouldn't be good for both companies
I have to agree. I have to
because
agree.
if we keeping it, but first of all, this I mean, dog, she encouraged you twice. Just move on. Just move on.
Honestly, it's time,
But
man.
when you look at how strong Nintendo's brand is, Microsoft buying Xbox Microsoft buying Nintendo just turns Microsoft into Nintendo. It's
or
not
vice
going to
versa,
do.
you know? Yeah,
It's
yeah.
dog. It's not going to do what they think it's going to do
It's not.
because their brand identity is strong from the standpoint of green. Like that's the Xbox brand identity. It's green.
Yeah,
But we don't associate.
yeah.
We still don't associate Microsoft with gaming to the degree that, like, when you hear Microsoft, you don't think Xbox immediately. You have to hear Xbox before you think gaming.
Right, right. It
When
has its
you hear
own brand.
Nintendo, you know what that is.
And honestly, when you think Xbox, you think green, and then you think Halo. You know, a select few. Excuse me. A select few games come to mind, like Forza, Halo, things like that. Um, but yeah, no, I don't think their brand is strong enough to. Well, I'll say this: that might actually work in their favor in this situation where they buy Nintendo. You know, I don't think it's gonna happen, but
It never
if they
will. No.
were to do that, um, it would be a case of Xbox is kind of just like Xbox. Like it doesn't really have to be any one thing, so they can make it anything, you know. So maybe their idea is that Nintendo can exist as Nintendo under this umbrella. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that you can have Nintendo as a subsidiary to anything bigger because
See,
Nintendo just needs
that's
to be
that's why it would never happen.
yeah.
That is the exact reason why it would never happen. Because if there's one thing the Japanese and other people overseas know about Americans, it's we're arrogant as fuck. And
Yeah.
only Americans will be arrogant enough to think, oh no, you guys can just exist next to us and we'll make that work.
Like
And we'll
no.
never try to take over or anything like that. We would never do that. Okay. Okay.
Come
Them
on now.
folks know what it is.
Yeah.
They not about to get into bed with no American company, especially one that the Japanese don't fuck with.
Right. That's not they're not even benefiting them in the place where they flourish the most. Like this doesn't really make and I guess that's the thing. It benefits Microsoft a lot in that space. It really doesn't do much for Nintendo except, you know, give
It's
them
off its user base.
yeah, like, give them that paycheck and confuse the fan base and just make things a little muddier. One thing I hope is that they kill this whole idea after the public shaming that's happening right now. I'm not trying to publicly
Dog.
shame Microsoft for trying this because you got to shoot your shot. I ain't mad. You know what I mean? If you have ambitions to buy Nintendo, that's what's up. Keep talking about that internally. That's fine. But once you get over the fact that it's not going to happen, start making some deals. You're more in a position to partner with Nintendo. This is what people want. Like we've been begging for Game Pass on Switch for the longest. If you're not going to make your own like proprietary machine to do that, I think there might be something in here that alludes to them possibly making like a Game Pass machine, but I still don't believe that that's on the horizon. Like I don't think that's on a slate or anything like that. So
I don't think that's smart, to be
really,
honest.
you don't think so? Like a cloud gaming Game Pass machine?
Well, no, and only from the standpoint of they've made such a big deal about being able to play Game Pass anywhere, laptop, phone, tablet, TV, the console itself, if you want. But three of those things I just mentioned are on the go devices.
Yeah,
It would make far more sense to do what you just said and partner with Nintendo and put it on the Switch.
just
You're not
add
blowing
another.
money on the hardware.
Yeah.
You're not blowing money on the R&D for it, trying to figure out how to make it work. You just got to put your shit over there and rake
Yeah,
in the money.
that you make a good point. You make a good point. It does make more sense if they want to make that their brand. Like you putting it on TVs now natively. I know you were saying you got Starfield booted up on your TV the other day.
Yeah,
So
that shit was moving. It was moving pretty smooth.
yeah, man,
I
I've
think
been
if I wasn't downstairs, if I was next to the router, I probably would get a little less lag, but it wasn't nothing that was game breaking.
man. Listen, I'm put like probably like 15, 20 hours in the Starfield. I'm pretty addicted to it, and I was playing it a lot before we did the show. But I haven't had any problems. Like my computer does not run Starfield. I tried to run it natively and the shit was like a potato. You know what I mean? It's typical of
Oh, okay. My shit was
yeah,
running it clean.
yeah. My computer just doesn't, have the horse. It doesn't have the RAM is the only problem. Like it's got some of the bells and whistles, but just it's a laptop, so you can't expect that much. But over the cloud it runs like a dream. I haven't had really any major problems. Like once I think it crashed on me or like kicked me out the game or whatever, but yeah, I've if you want to make that your brand, like you can boot up whatever and just play this anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Nintendo makes a lot of sense. That Switch is right there, or
Well,
Steam
I
Deck,
think yeah, Steam Deck would work if they were able to get that done with Valve. I don't think Valve would do it, but
yeah,
I think Valve would have done it before the Steam Deck. If they had got to them before they really started formulating that and said we want to use this for Game Pass, obviously next to the Steam ecosystem, I think they
mhm.
would have rocked with it. But I think now that Steam's seeing some success with it, they're like, no, we can do this on our own.
Yeah,
I do think if we do see that Game Pass partnership with Nintendo, it won't be until the new console,
which makes
since
sense actually.
since they're talking about it basically being on par with the PS4 and the Xbox Series X. That would be more than enough to run what 90-95% of the shit that's on Game Pass with no issue. So I think
Yeah,
if that does ever come to fruition, it's going ahead then.
I can agree with that. And honestly, I'm at the point of just like, yeah, save all the big shit for the next one. With the
Yeah, just
Switch,
leave it alone. Leave the yeah,
yeah,
leave the old one
you've
alone. Let it die.
they've knocked it out the park. It's gonna live forever in my, depending on what the next thing is, how backwards compatible and all that. Like, I'll have a space for the Switch, so it's good. You don't really need Xbox again. Nintendo doesn't really need any of these deals to make more money. They're already raking in money, like
It's a
hand over
fact.
fist. So, moving on, just a couple more highlights that I want to go over into this. I do want to talk about a couple of the games that got leaked, or like the games that are potentially being announced. One is the fact that Red Dead Redemption 2 might be getting the next gen version, which is cool. It's just a nice little tidbit in there. I think it's probably time. Like, that game, deserves the same treatment of stuff like, Ghost of Tsushima or Red, or the other games that have gotten these little upgrades to kind of bring them in line with the current gen. So that's cool. And Oblivion's possibly also getting a remaster. That sounds like a good move for Xbox right now. I think Bethesda is going to be between games with Starfield, and then Elder Scrolls kind of being years and years out.
What's that?
So
2025, 2026 for that?
for that remaster, I'm not sure.
No,
But
I'm
it's
talking
got to
about
be.
six. I'm talking about six.
Oh man, if then, like, honestly, I would not be shocked if it was even further out, because that game's going to take forever. And they just started or like got into pre-production, if I'm not mistaken. So
Oh God, no.
yeah,
That's
that's like
coming out when that new
2028.
Xbox come out. Yeah,
Straight up,
that's a
like,
launch
yeah,
title for the new Xbox.
straight up and down. So I'm being patient. I'm addicted to Starfield. It's crazy. So I'm waiting for the next big Bethesda thing. I know that Elder Scrolls 6, for as great as Starfield is, and I do want to kind of talk about this a little bit too, it feels like it should be, I don't want to say more, because it's enough of a game. Like, it's got so much to do. I told you, when I think I texted you and tweeted about like my first like 4 hours of the game, where I'm doing like all these side quests. I picked up a security job. I became a
Yeah,
bounty
yeah.
hunter.
It's Jamaican. Yeah, 600 jobs.
Facts, like everything in the fucking world. I'm like, yeah, sign me up. I'll do it. Give me some credits, whatever. Um, but you can't get too distracted in that damn game, because you'll end up doing like nothing. You won't complete shit. Those side quests take up your time. I'm over here researching trees, wondering how I've been doing this for an hour and a half. Like, bro, what's happening? But man, what a game to just like land on planets and just explore and look around and see how shit is. It's one of the most enjoyable experiences I had exploring in a game in a while. It's incredible, but it does feel like a Bethesda game. You know what I mean? Like, you land on a planet and like there's a certain layout, interactions with NPCs go a certain way. Every item is, something that you can pick up, and you're always over encumbered. Like, there's certain things that I would like to see Elder Scrolls 6 do a little bit better than Starfield. So we'll give them time. I'm good with the patience, and I think doing a
Ain't
couple
got nothing but time.
remasters will kind of fill in those gaps. We would not be tripping. So that's a pretty good move. But I'm not, overall, I think most of the announcements I see here, I'm all the way with, as far as what Xbox is aiming to do. We do need to kind of talk about them going to an all digital future. Like, did you hear anything
All
about
right.
some of that?
So before we get into that, because I do have I won't say I have an issue with that chart that showed like the games they had planned out. I think until like what fiscal year 2024, 2025.
Yeah.
Because I have been shouting from the rooftops for years about how great Dishonored and Dishonored 2 were. So seeing Dishonored
Yeah.
3 made me feel good because I thought that they were letting that series die. I really did. Once they dropped
Mm.
Deathloop, I kind of felt like that was kind of the last thing they were doing in that universe and that style game. So seeing that was cool, but it also made me feel like, what are you doing with Bethesda for real?
Mm.
Because if it's not Elder Scrolls, which isn't coming until my daughter's in college, if it's not another Starfield, which ain't coming until my daughter got a daughter,
Yeah.
then are you gonna? Because they've already been on record saying they're not gonna make every game exclusive to Xbox. It's like a case
Right.
by case basis. You have to drop Dishonored 3 on Sony consoles. You have to drop Doom on Sony consoles.
Mm.
So you really only have two exclusive games out of Bethesda, maybe three if you're gonna do Fallout.
But do they have to drop those on Sony consoles? Honestly, like if you're going off of what's already come out,
I'm
then
going
would
off of I'm going based on just what they said and kind of mapping that out in my head
mm,
because what else are you putting on? So you're going to put the quote unquote lower tier Bethesda games on Sony
yeah,
consoles. You're not
if
going to give
anything,
them the
yeah,
dope. Yeah, you're not giving
yeah.
everybody the dope. So
I
Starfield, Elder Scrolls, Fallout, they're not hitting Sony consoles.
honest to God, I think it's more likely they just straight up are putting shit else like they just are going to go against their word and fucking keep it all to themselves.
It wouldn't surprise me, but this fight they just went through with Activision, I think, made them look at stuff differently. Like we got to kind of act on good faith.
If they want to make more moves, that's facts. That's
Yeah.
facts. Yeah, and that
So
was
they
a
they
big
kind
thing.
of they kind of forced themselves into that corner.
Yeah,
Something has to hit on Sony consoles. So if, like I said, you know for a fact the big three in Bethesda aren't going. Know
right,
that.
right.
So that only leaves those two: Doom, um, Dishonored, and whatever else they might drop like underneath that. And as far as Activision, they already, Call of Duty, we'll share it. Okay, they did a 10-year deal with Nintendo. Great. They'll drop something on Sony's consoles. They might get another Tony again, maybe a Tony Hawk 3 remaster. I don't know. You know
Imagine,
what I mean? But
man.
it's gonna be stuff like that. But like the big stuff isn't gonna be there. So that's I guess I look at Bethesda like if you're getting the big three from them every 8 years,
Right.
7 or 8 years, how much is that deal actually benefiting?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, Elder Scrolls throws it all in the question regardless. Like even if you are getting the Dishonoreds and the Wolfensteins and Dooms and all that stuff, I feel like the big hitters, like Elder Scrolls is one of your big three. You got Elder Scrolls, Fallout, and now Starfield. You're already kind of just like taking Sony's lunch on that one. Like this is something that's been on Sony consoles before. It was always better on Xbox, which is why I kind of saw this coming early when they first
Yeah.
introduced mods. To Xbox and PlayStation, and Xbox had like 5 times the mods PlayStation did. I'm like, okay, y'all work a little better on that
Well,
ecosystem.
yeah,
I
yeah,
see it.
because they got that PC architecture already, so it's easier to make that work.
Right, exactly. Like, and this is kind of part of the reason why I feel like Bethesda was a great fit. I mean, honestly, Activision is pretty good fit too with Blizzard. So, um, it's gonna be interesting to see how the future pans out. They have a lot of big dreams. Microsoft always does. Like,
That's for damn sure.
man, the all digital future is kind of intriguing because I don't want us to get to a point where we're reliant on subscription services. I'm starting to kind of waver on that a little bit. Like PlayStation bumping their prices up.
Bruh,
I gotta
bump they motherfucking heads.
yeah, I gotta really debate if I wanna resubscribe each month because I don't know that I don't know that I'm getting all that much for my PlayStation Plus subscription. I don't turn it on. I don't browse the catalog for new shit that's older or like the free games as often as I used to. But I did see that after they announced that their lineup of games had like tons of shit. Like it was a long list. It had
Yeah, that was, hey, sorry.
yeah, yeah. I'm hoping it's more of a hey, this is the direction we're going moving forward because I can kind of get with it. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be terribly mad at a more expensive but more
My,
premium product.
my issue with that price bump is that the PS Plus, like the essential games, the three that drop every month, it's hit or miss.
Yeah,
You might get like a 2 month streak where it's like, damn, it's three solid games. I like whatever drops on there, I add it to my library because three free
yeah,
games. Why not?
word.
But you can always tell, like, this month is kind of whack.
Yeah,
And if you're gonna be bumping the price up like that, you got hit every month.
yeah. You gotta have some. Game Pass feels worth it when something like Starfield and Lies of P drop at the same time. I'm like, damn, I get to
Right.
play these two
Yeah,
fire
like
ass games for
like I
nothing
shit on
extra.
Game Pass a lot, but like that's something I couldn't argue with when I'm looking at
Yeah,
them like, yeah, I mean, y'all got it there. But yeah,
right.
I'll be looking at that price increase, man. That shit hit me in the chest. I'm like, yo,
Yeah, yeah.
them free games, man, it's gotta be one day, one game on there or something.
And that's the thing. I don't see Sony ever
Nope.
really going that route. Like
It'll be an indie game they do that with. They ain't doing it with the
yeah,
big shit.
yeah. You got to do a real good indie. Like you know what I mean. Like if y'all can get like Hades 2 on there, because they did it with
Hades 2
Sea of
could have done it with
Stars.
well, no, see, they only did it with Sea of Stars for the next tier up from Essential. Essential
Yeah.
didn't get it. Because I thought it was free for Essential. Like I was excited as fuck to download it. That
Oh
motherfucker
damn.
said
Yeah.
extra. I'm like, yo, get the fuck out of here. That's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
free.
And it's like how you treat each of these tiers. Like it's the tier system still kind of confusing to me, and it's a little
Makes no
weird.
sense.
Yeah, like the things that you're getting. I'm like, Game Pass Ultimate is just the one I'm gonna get. Like I'm not even gonna look at the other lower tiers. I wasn't looking at games, Xbox Live Gold memberships when it still existed because I'm like, okay, yeah, I
They're
got
back.
it, yeah, yeah. Like, but clearly this is the one. Like this is the top tier one. Premium feels like it should be that with PlayStation, but then like you get certain shit with that. Like Premium gets you the old shit if I'm not mistaken. Like that's
Yeah,
the
like the PS1 shit. And I'm
yeah.
like,
Why would
I
I
don't
not
need to go
just
that far back.
it's cool. Don't get me wrong. I play the
Yeah,
hell
no,
out
no,
of
it's dope from the
yeah,
standpoint of
yeah.
just having it, but it's like I'm not gonna play that far back.
Switch the two. Like it just makes perfect. It just makes more sense to have extra be what premium is and vice versa. Like
Yeah.
I don't know,
They
but
they
then
they muddied that.
they would have to. The reason I think they didn't do it that way is because they would have to have come with the heat, like Game Pass. If premium
Yeah.
was costing you all this money, it's like okay, what's premium really about to be in for? Like, am I paying all this money for a reason, or if I'm just shoving the money into Sony's hands, maybe I'll stop doing
That's
that.
basically it. But yeah, man, digital shit, I mean, I'm always like even my PS5, it's got a disk drive. I
Yeah.
prefer to have cases. I went like certain like I think I said this like a while back, but
Mm.
certain games I want to have a case for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Certain games I want to be able to plug into some spot on my shelf and just have, a shelf full of game cases. But the all
Yep.
digital thing and getting into just everything being like a streaming service. I mean, we're already at the point now where the TV shit it's more than cable.
Right. Right.
Just
So
to keep each one and have everything you want to watch is more than cable. I mean, it's getting to a point where it's ridiculous. People are starting to cord cut, and now everybody's mad, talking about, well, we just gonna go back to cable. And now the cable people is picking this shit up and going, oh, we'll drop our prices for a little bit, and it's just
yep.
it's gonna be a cycle. And I don't want to see it go that way with gaming because I think going too far digital with gaming kind of takes something away from it.
Yeah, sorry, technical issues, but yeah, sometimes you kind of gotta balance out what's worth it and what's not, like how much you want to actually give to make that streaming service viable. Because in order for us to keep going down this route, like I cancel streaming services every other fucking week. Like I just posted a tweet about how I canceled my Hulu and activated my Netflix within like 2 minutes because my fucking little $20 subscription service fucking budget is cycling through life like the
Bruh.
Avatar. That motherfuckers dies off of Hulu and is reborn as Netflix, and then it might die as Netflix, be reborn as HBO Max if I decide I want to watch Winning Time, which
Dog, look,
yeah,
Showtime, pick that up.
man. Listen, you can call
HBO,
it,
y'all on some bullshit.
yeah, yeah. Honest to God,
Going to end the damn Lakers show with them losing to the Celtics. I ain't even a goddamn Lakers or Celtics fan, and I know that's bullshit.
listen, this is probably
Ignore
going
the
to end up
Kobe
being a
jersey I'm wearing while I'm saying that.
nah, it's appropriate. I don't know. I know we kind of get into it at the end of the episode. This main episode was to focus on this particular leak. I want to take a minute to just say, what the fuck, HBO? I could
Bruh.
have, man. No spoilers if y'all listen, if y'all haven't watched Winning Time on HBO, go watch it. It's over now, apparently.
What?
But
Both seasons. Watch it all the way through. It's incredible.
it is one of my favorite shows in the last 10 years, and that's no exaggeration. Like the way they captured the Showtime Lakers, the way that I can go back on Twitter and like it's one of those shows where you see people post a clip of what happened in that episode and like, they matched it almost perfectly. Like the press conference where Pat Riley was announced as the
Dog,
coach is
almost word for word.
it's incredible. The show
Nailed it.
was they had so much heart, bro. And it's just
And
like
probably one of the best casted shows in
ever,
recent memory. Because look, I don't
man.
know if you know about the Will Ferrell story, because Will Ferrell
Yeah,
wanted to play Jerry Buss, and he was
yep,
like him and Adam McKay was boys, and
yeah,
he don't talk to him no more. He don't fuck with him no more because
yeah. This is
look, Will, I know you ain't watching this, but in case you watching this, you gotta let that shit go, man.
you
You wasn't
have
doing
to.
what John did.
He killed that. He embodied that role, man.
Yeah,
Like,
you
well,
wasn't doing that.
I hope that you get your moment, Will Ferrell, because I know that you probably itching for your let me be this person, like me, let me make myself this person moment, just like that was for him. But it was nobody that was doing Jerry
Nah,
Buss justice that way.
nah,
That's crazy.
nah.
And I mean,
That
shout out to
it was, man.
every single
He
person on
killed
that
it. He
show.
needed an Emmy. Quincy Isaiah needed an
Yes,
Emmy.
sir.
Man,
Man,
look,
they had the
Magic. He
perfect
looked like Magic. He talked like Magic.
Magic was
Everything
flawless.
about
Adrian
the scene.
Brody, man,
Man,
yes, killed it. Killed it.
the street ball scene in the first season. If you don't even watch the show, just go find this clip.
Straight up. Honestly,
There
that's
is
Magic
no
Johnson.
more disrespectful moment in TV history than that man
Man,
looking Cookie's boyfriend in the eye, getting in his ear and going, "Oh, so you care about her soul? Quiet as is kept. I fuck that too."
bro.
Yo,
Like,
you gotta kill him. You gotta shoot him right there.
I ain't gonna lie. There's
This,
only one scene where I was like, I like Magic. Chill, bro. Like, what the fuck?
you got to end his life right
Dog.
there.
Like, that shit stuck with me straight up.
And
But
then he
this
continued to bust your ass on the court and then took your girl home.
took, man.
I
The way he
just,
did that, man, and honestly, I mean, shout out to Magic and Cookie still being together and everything. I like how they slowed that shit down in season 2 because that shit was going like I was like, man, you can't make it happen like this. That's not going that ain't gonna
nah.
sit
But
right. But
the way it came around was dope. The way it came
yeah,
around was dope.
yeah, they
But
did that shit perfectly. Just like they
man,
pretty much they had a vision for this show, man. You can tell. And then to see season 2, I'm not gonna spoil, but I mean, it didn't
it's
really
history. It
end.
happened.
Like, yeah,
ain't
it is
nothing to
what it is.
spoil. Right?
But it ends on a sour note. It's not ending on the explosion of the Lakers that happened for this team. And then everything just kind of like montages out. Like I noticed something was off when Jeannie sat in the chair and was like, I think I can run this team. And I'm like, you probably shouldn't have said that. Like maybe save that for maybe show us that over some seasons. It's like don't just outright
Well,
say it.
they said that HBO basically came to them well
Yeah.
before and said, "Look, y'all need to film a backup scene
Yep.
just in case this don't work out,"
So
knowing it wasn't going.
that scene and the
Yeah,
one with them on the court was filmed later. So like they
yeah.
had to rush an ending. Please don't make people rush endings, bro. Like you just ruining a good thing. The way they did
Look,
Lovecraft Country, bro, like they're just fucking up over there. And I
we
got a
can
problem.
we can I can ignore how season 2 ended if somebody picks up Winning Time,
Right.
preferably Showtime, so that you can call it Showtime. That's
Yep.
the name of the fucking book it was based on,
Yep. But I
and
get it
just go from
because
there.
you
Yeah,
can't.
HBO wasn't gonna do that. HBO wasn't gonna do that,
Somebody
and
brought
that's
up the
fine.
point
That's
of like
fine.
Googling HBO Showtime is not going to be a good look for them. So
Nah,
yeah.
they couldn't do that. That would be like Nintendo
Right.
calling something Xbox something. Like it's just nah.
Doesn't make sense, right? Right. But that's honestly, I needed to take that moment to have that eulogy for that great show because it
Fuck
deserves so
HBO.
much better. Shit, man, used to be just the peak of television, bro. Like that used to be some. I'm watching
But
it
you know
because it's
what?
on HBO.
Before we go, I want to say this. I want to make this point. The people who are running HBO, and I think it's like Warner Brothers Discovery got
Yep.
in the middle of it and
Yep.
all that shit. This is not the same HBO because like
It's not.
when we was younger, even before this, HBO would know. Oh, this show is popular. Let it run.
Yep.
Even if the numbers wasn't what they wanted it to be, they knew people was watching it. They let it run. This new shit driven by money, man, and it's not fucking right. You got Jeff Pearlman on fucking Twitter begging people to watch it so we can get a season 3. He don't need to do that. That shit
Facts.
good enough to stand on his own. He didn't have to do that shit.
Man.
We appreciate him for trying to make it happen. But we go look, we about to start a motherfucking campaign. Get that shit on Showtime. Get that shit
Yeah.
on Netflix, Hulu, whoever the fuck gonna buy it, and let them do it right and continue to do it right. Get it over there. That story needs to be finished.
Real talk. You can
Can't
see
end with the
all
fucking Lakers losing.
that doesn't make sense. It's like literally called winning time and it ends on a loss. That shit is if that was planned, it would be some sweet irony or whatever. But nah, this was obvious and terrible. And let's make it right, y'all. Like really. You can see the writing on the wall right around Batgirl. So you see all these moves happening, man.
Yeah.
Pay attention, guys. That's my lesson for y'all off this episode. But I guess we'll go ahead and bring this one to a close, man. Let us know what you think of the Microsoft leaks and of winning time being canceled. I want to hear both thoughts because this is a conversation we need to have as a people. Holler at us on Twitter, man. We are at Eclipse Theory. Instagram, we are at Eclipse.theory. Definitely let us know what you guys think, what you want to hear from us, because we want to make this show for you guys. So
big things coming soon.
You already know, man. We're always trying to build on this and build up our own careers to kind of help it make Eclipse Theory bigger and better. So just keep an eye out for what we got coming next. Man. But until next time, man, I'm Kendall. This is Tony. And keep getting